Okay. Hi. We're back to Great Ace Attorney. So, last time on Great Ace Attorney, we finished Case 3, which ended with a very big, revelation. Also, I'm stupid. I forgot to leave my door open, so I wouldn't burst into flames. We are not playing the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, we're playing the Great Ace Attorney 2.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant.
Hey, Nautilus, how are you doing?
And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Something shattered in half. "8 days after that earth-shattering trial and Kazuma regaining his memory." I had to double check that I wasn't muted. "We were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel." Needs a little fixing. "Professor Mikotoba is due to arrive at any moment."
Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time.
"Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened." Not that I'm surprised.
The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew?
That he was actually the mass murderer of the professor, you mean? Knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they?
Yes, that's true.
Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well?
That's right. But for some reason, he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it.
That probably means he knows then. About Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he's regained his memory now. I don't know that he would know about him regaining his memory, because that was, you know, a week ago. I assume this is Mikotoba. Ah, there she is. Oh my god, you two look so different.
Oh, Father.
Hello, Susanoo. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound.
Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man? And why do I feel as though I've seen him before? To be fair, he does look very different in that suit compared to him in his judge's robes. I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder? Seishiro, firm tap should do it. Yes. Firm tap? What? Here we go then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty. Ah. Also, that's really funny. That animation of him with the gavel in the palm of his hand is it's a copied animation from the Apollo Justice trilogy of games. He does that a lot in Dual Destinies. Oh, you're... Court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency.
Hello, Judge Jikoku. How are you? It's been a long time.
Good, you remembered now. Really did the trick. Guilty. Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? There was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Oh, were you the other, were you the third student on the travel trip? You, Mikotoba, and, the professor? Or did I? Didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. But really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Eugen? These two characters have very similar voices, they always have, and it's gonna throw me for a loop every time I need to switch between them. Of course, Judge Jikoku. He must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. Also, can I just say, the pin in Mikotoba's tie, that is a nice touch. I like that, because that's like the pattern that he has on his outfit. Like on his other outfit is that pattern. And I think it's also on Susato's outfit as well. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous. sorry? Ministerial status. Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Oh. It was personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on the study tour. Guilty as charged. Oh, well, thank you very much. It's really every bit as important as he looks. Ah, yes. Now, Naruhodo. Received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? Here's that some things came to light in a trial you were involved in 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Yes. Could you tell us any more about it? So, how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. It wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. Oh, that's true. And I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience.
Ah, and so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris?
Did we stop in Paris? We did, yes. Only for one night. Yesterday evening, we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. There we go. I think I found where to differentiate their voices. Watch me trip up on it literally the next time they talk.
It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father.
It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to integrate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited. And I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. For yourself, Eugen, you are close friends with the professor of forensic science at the major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. Oh, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. The professor. The killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy. Was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asogi. Sort of fixed your A key now? Genshin.
You knew, I presume, Father.
Genshin Impact Asogi, yeah. Don't worry, no, we're on the same wavelength there. Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective, studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth. He was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. What about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? Oh no, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, we tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day he came to my office at the university and said, I've decided. I want to travel to Great Britain and study there.
Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death?
I don't know. When I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh? What? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? What? That's news to us. So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died. We both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January.
But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father?
Actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. Sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. He's still alive. Here in London, you say? Yeah, I keep changing Mikotoba's voice because, like, I have the brain of a goldfish. Never even dared to dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make a contact? Hey, Pantstravaganza, how are you doing? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now.
Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia.
What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. Wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. Must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been the past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? I swear if Kazuma turns up dead again, I'm going to be mad. I think I said this at the end of the last Ace Attorney stream as well, but it began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin Asogi, and myself. We were the original 3. First judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. My father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, you know, young lady.
Yes, grandmother told me.
He went to do research at the Great London Hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. He came to London to go and get milk, and that's why he was gone for 6 years, I think. Yes, it was an airy place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. No more talk of graves. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. You see, the autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Remember that Scottish prison governor? Caden, his name was. He was a good man. These two need to stop having a conversation. Or, like, stop existing in the same room, because their voices are far too similar. Yes, but of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. Simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say, after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. It was a lost cause, sadly. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk all the way up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up, I shouldn't have held you up here for so long.
I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here.
Susato-san's gone off at a run. I'd like to stay and talk more, but I have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. Must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo. Hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been. Oh no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. Thoroughly let her down. Sorry? What do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. For a year, Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly, it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Let me guess, your wife died as well. Oh, yes. Susato-san hinted at something like that.
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. Point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. It was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind. Perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. That's what happened in a nutshell. It's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. The world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Ah, one other thing, Naruhodo. I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? Well, the thing is, Oh, look, it's, we didn't get a name for him. He was a jury member, but, he was the jury member in, Case 3 of the first game. He's like the, leader of the, Coaches Guild.
I'm so sorry that took so long.
Miss Susato.
Now then, allow us to take your bags.
Allow me to take your bags. Actually, I don't even remember. One moment, if you please, porter. Of course, sir. Machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. These... Why did 3 characters have to show up all in the same scene that have, like, in my brain, very, very similar voices? Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate the wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Yes, of course.
I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made Father very happy, I think.
Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotoba was about to ask me something.
Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us.
Yes, let's go. Getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. You really want to do that, though? You might have put a... Just use one voice for the 3 of them. Way, I think, is how that would be pronounced, because the E with the accent mark is pronounced as A. What was that?
A man screaming, in a most unflattering way.
Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes?
Oh my, I do hope not.
Oh god. Okay, give me a sec. I need to mentally and physically prepare for this. Okay. I'm just gonna read this like a normal, like I would read a normal cry. It's just,
I don't do it anymore.
mentally preparing to become French in a Japanese game set in Britain. Mon ami, mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Their hair, it's bright red.
I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Right, you two. You coming with me now? Down to the clink. No, not in prison. It's dark and damp, and I don't like it.
Of the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared.
But you're always scared of the dark.
Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist.
I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, tough. We'll finish this down at the yard. Now get moving.
Gina's voice is so hard for me to do.
Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah. Thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie, and Runo.
Hello, Iris. We're home. See, here's the thing about doing Ace Attorney, is that my voice does get worn out if I stream too much of it all in one go. But if I don't stream it all in one go, then I have to go through the acclimation period of getting all of the voices back in order every time I start again.
Well, did you find your daddy?
Eh.
Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Yes, of course.
Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is that greatest of problems known to man. But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellow? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say.
Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea.
I feel like I feel like because I'm not doing this back to back with the other parts of Ace Attorney, my I haven't hit the correct level of flow to be able to hit Iris's high voice, so her voice has come down just a little bit.
Whatever is going on here today?
In that case, let us sit and drink now. For I am in fact expecting a guest later today.
Mr. Sholmes, who are the two gentlemen that were here before?
Oh, just a pair of petty criminals. Nothing of significance. Sorry I keep pausing. I need to... or something. What's the what's the human body equivalent to technical difficulties? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. Wow, Sholmes, you... I voice that line very, deriding. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions.
When the mood takes you?
all manner of infractions. But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out.
Oh my! You were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes?
But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally.
You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. Also, Hurley, I know that I'm not exactly the person that should be lecturing you on this, but don't you know that entrapment is a crime?
I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha! I have it. A bungler, that's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good.
I wonder what the men did.
What was that about the greatest of problems known to man you mentioned before?
Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes?
How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere, possibly.
It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now.
Gosh. You kind of lose perspective on how long ago something is when it's just like a commonly known thing, because like, you know, this is like a turn of the century, so 40 years ago from this date would put it at like, what, 1860? Like, that feels significantly more recent for that whole thing. Like, the whole theory of evolution thing feels like it's old, like old. But you know, 160 something years, that's like, I mean, that's no amount of time to scoff at, but just my brain wants to process it as older.
According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops.
Wait, what? What? We were apes? Indeed. And from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Capitalism.
Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes?
Why, is it not obvious, my dear madame? The problem of rent. Shit, I was right.
But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Two-Spells only the other day?
Huh, a large sum. 1 potted herb for Iris, and a new motor car for me later. All of it has quite disappeared, I assure you.
Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it.
Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. Mr. Naruhodo, have you ever heard of tax evasion? It's this revolutionary new thing where you don't pay the British taxes. And therefore you get to keep the money. Okay, I'm done with this bit. Zappelli would be so proud of me for making that bit. I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem for the coming month, at least. And what was that answer? Why, there's a substantial clue before your very eyes.
Don't tell me. Let me see.
Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Also, for legal reasons, do not tax evade. For legal reasons, that is a joke. Not the do not tax evade, but you know what I mean. Let me give you some advice. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. The end? You've been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation.
I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us, I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Bureau in January. Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. Wait. Okay, I know that this is like my... I swear, in school, I wasn't great at English, but like, through osmosis, I've picked up, like, through like, mainly reading visual novels and like, analysis on written works. Like, I've picked up on how stuff tends to be phrased. Aren't you not supposed to start sentences with the word and? Shouldn't it be Kazuma wasn't killed, comma, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time? Because those are two pieces that could be the same sentence instead of two separate sentences. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. Why?
Oh, how horrible.
It was necessary to find some material with which to with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong.
Oh.
All of my girl voices are off tonight. I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Well, at least you admit it. Mr. Sholmes, Hey, Mr. Sholmes, did you know that I'm a lawyer? Mr. Sholmes, about the... Why is that on the right side? Why is that piece of evidence on the right side? It usually pops up on the left. Mr. Sholmes, about this. Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, is this the first time you've shown me this particular trinket? Oh, I don't really remember, to be honest. If my saying that it's a collar for a breed of miniature canine with particularly long neck were to precipitate a "here we go again" from your lips, we could be sure it was not the first time. Deduction, you see, my dear fellow. Deduction.
This looks like last week's edition.
What's that article circled in red ink there?
It's an advertisement column. It says... To the Red-Headed League.
Red-Headed League? What's that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before.
Teleports in front of you. Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that. Or with that lively hair. Mask Cosimo wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up.
We ought to give it back to him, I suppose.
He has his memory back now, doesn't he? I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself.
But isn't he your best friend?
Finally managed to remember this behemoth's name. The Great Analytoscope.
I don't think it was here when I left for Japan, was it?
Oh, is that right?
Yes, because it was with the pawnbroker.
Ah, of course.
Oh, that's given me a wonderful idea. I could pawn everything that's on your desk. The office would be tidy at last.
Don't even joke about it, Miss Susato. You are joking, aren't you? Looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League? Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe, it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? What's the difference, my dear friend? You get to go around showing your attorney's badge to everyone, so you need to let me have this. Jeez, Mr. Sholmes, I didn't think that you thought of me like that. Come on, man. You're always gloating that you're an attorney. You're always doing stuff. And I have multiple down days where I'm not doing anything. It just makes me feel lesser to you in some way. I don't know where that conversation was going, but... So what is the Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you've circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the next target for Iris's pipe bomb business. Was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. Was? How? According to the advertisement, I read that as investment somehow. The Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me.
But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week?
I swear we're like almost an hour into stream and I'm still having to pause, and I don't know what's up with my throat tonight. I guess I'm just out of practice because I didn't do a vocal warm-up before stream. But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. Thank you for the hydrate.
But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case.
Do you think that now that Sholmes has dyed his hair, that means that he's like sold his soul in like a Faustian bargain? Imagine the scenario where after Sholmes dyes his hair red, all of his deductions are correct from here on out. Because of the whole, you know, the whole joke of redheads don't have souls. If I'm a half redhead, does that mean that I only have half a soul? Because like, my hair is brown, but my mom's hair is red.
But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance.
I might be stretching a point, I think. You think Iris's hair counts as red?
The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see.
Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away.
It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes.
So you decided to try to join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it.
What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm glad you asked, Miss Susato. What do you see atop of my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight, by the wonders of chemistry. I just realized it also changed the color of his eyebrows. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves. And in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair aflame like red. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I read that as it'll make every hair on your perfect body crimson. Sholmes, are you hitting on me? I think I'll pass.
But, Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it?
Amateurs are always hampered by such fears.
Oh, I never should have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say...
But of course, it's highly toxic. To earn 4 pounds per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. Degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely.
So, anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. And for the park on Lime Street where the Redheaded League were interviewing prospective new members.
So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, just like Costers? Orange Barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. But when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Hey Taco, how are you doing? Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. Not just in my eyes, from all the dye in my hair. So I turned that pair into the police.
Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today?
Indeed, Miss Susato, that is correct. Not another one of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I'm expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less.
Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes.
You must stay and observe the fashion in which the great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now, Rent. Just as I have you in my clutches, redheads.
That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Don't feel as though you must wait around to see if you have other things to do.
Time to go get in trouble with Strongheart. Oh. This doesn't seem like a fun conversation to come into, Here's the final draft of the opening addresses for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. See, excellent work, thank you. I actually don't remember what Strongheart's voice was. Oh, welcome, my lord. What's Lord Van Zeek's doing here?
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
Place is stifling enough as it is. Completely random thing. I don't remember if I mentioned this on stream. One of the things that my mom gifted me a shirt with this scene on it that's got Ryunosuke and Susato on it. I should take a picture and show it. I think my Van Zeek's voice is similar to Ultima and FF16. No, the Van Zeek's voice wasn't. Because the Van Zeek's voice, the Van Zeek's voice is like very like the way that I think about it is that it's like very far forward in my mouth. Because it's like it's very forceful because it's like, well, my learned Nipponese friend. It's stuff like that. Really don't need any more tension. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress made you all but invisible to me. Actually, I think that's probably closer to what Van Zeek's voice was, but we'll figure it out. Oh, no, this is entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure.
From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come in here.
5'6" versus 6 foot. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Lord Strongheart, I'm right here. Actually, I think Strongheart had like the super deep voice. Kill me now. Something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such perfect temperature. If you're sure, you're sure. Beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. As if the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you're no doubt aware, my internal forensic science symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear.
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands, then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. Okay, I think those two have just had very similar voices the whole time, and my brain is having trouble differentiating them because they were in the same scene.
He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he?
I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Left hand still of service?
Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe.
Ah, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. It was just, You're not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. It would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh, missing? I swear, Kazuma, if you end up dead again, you will be the one person in Ace Attorney history that I could say has had 2 trials focused on their death. Kazuma, if you die, I am going to be mad, because we literally only just got you back.
And what's become of Kazuma-sama now?
Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million. 30 million? Are there even that many people in the world?
As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital of Tokyo is 2 million.
We'll be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. You know, I know that he's, like, quote-unquote staring daggers at Naruhodo, but I also think that that's just his normal character. He's taking, the fact that we ousted, Dr. Scythe very well, honestly. Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques. And cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark first symposium to be hosted here at the heart of our Great British Empire. Wow. He takes most things very well, yeah. In order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World. You know, it's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. Here's the weird thing about Strongheart. Strongheart gives off very weird mixed vibes. Like, the first time I saw him, like in case 3 of Great Ace Attorney 1, the first time I saw Strongheart, I was like, this motherfucker is a villain. Like, hands down, he's going to be the villain of the last case in this game. But so far, as far as we have actually been able to see, granted, that does not make statements about, you know, what's happened behind closed doors that we haven't found yet. But as far as we've seen, you know, he's actually just kind of been a dude. He hasn't been plotting evilly behind everyone's backs. He has some motivations, but it's not like it's not like he's you know, actively antagonistic about it for the most part. Though now that I'm saying that, I could totally see the framing for the last case of this game to be investigating the professor's case, and the whole thing being, oh shit, the professor was actually framed and Strongheart was the one who did the killing that time. That's my prediction for the last case of this game, by the way. It's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something.
You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It's my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Scythe at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. It was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department. And can you not do that now? Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. Have you kept things out of the papers before, Strongheart? 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial.
We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though.
Of course not. Should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become the Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say. You and he are old friends.
How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeek's in the first place?
It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh my! So he stowed away to get here?
Had no papers to identify him. No passport, and he was suffering from amnesia, too. Other than the fact that he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him.
But then, why the mask?
Didn't want to Didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations as to why he had an Eastern apprentice. So it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. It's proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future.
By the way, do you know where he's gone?
No idea. I believe he's left London for the time being.
Oh.
I take it you also didn't know. The man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean.
Genshin Asogi. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was...
Yes. Genshin Asogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain.
They were such awful murders, and unprecedented using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon.
No one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So, true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand.
Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause.
What? Supporters of a mass murderer?
The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a fair few thinkers in London, anyway.
Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? This dog brings a new meaning to eat the rich. It seems very familiar, or similar, doesn't it? to the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey.
You done talking with me? Could I show you this, Lord Strongheart? Lord Chief Justice. Not here to offer advice about evidence. Oh. Especially when the evidence in question is so dull. Ah, so that's the real reason. Aha! There is my guest now. My latest client with money to spend.
Oh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley.
Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating, save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will ya?
Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due.
Oh, you!
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please, oh please.
Actually, I think her voice was a lot more of the, like, soft,
Please find my husband. He's run away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that. Do upset me.
I beg your pardon.
Never mind. A personal matter, my apologies. It's the shipping lady, yeah. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say where I was about to say, I'm pretty sure all of those were Sholmes lines. Didn't say a word. Come, my dear madame. Be seated. Iris, some tea if you please.
Of course.
What's the matter, Miss Susato?
Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently.
Yes, now that you come to mention it.
As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. I implore you to take the case, sir. My money is no object. Simply name your figure.
Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madame. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence.
I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you will remember your words also.
If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be...
Oh, me?
What I'm about to tell you, I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence. You understand?
Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me.
Ah, I see.
I can vouch for the gentleman personally. After all, he's hard of hearing. How did I ever get my hopes up? Forgive me for asking, Miss Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps.
Oh my.
My dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion.
Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week?
Ah, I knew I recognized her.
To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hands. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
Hey Squiggles, how are you doing? Didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now.
It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean.
Pardon?
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear, it was just frippery, really, nothing more.
Now look what you started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. Just popping by, gotta go to bed. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. Tell us about your husband, madame.
Mr. Vigil, my daily...
Daily Vigil.
is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here.
An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married?
It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably.
As it would appear, I need only look at you to know these things.
Oh gosh.
Your dress is the latest style, your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct?
That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me.
Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or another.
Oh, that's exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will?
What exactly is your husband's line of work?
He's a warder at the prison.
Guard? That's somewhat unusual. So, your husband is a prison warder?
That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder.
Indeed. I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out.
Dreadful punishments? She mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he's remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, we made no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged?
Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there's a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No. Lowgate Cemetery. Very place we were discussing in court. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. I'm afraid you've lost me.
Ah, pay no heed, madame. Pay no heed. A private matter. Can't really be a coincidence, can it? So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday.
I'm sorry, yesterday? It really is recent. Laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return home at night, but this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Dally, what could have happened?
My dear Miss Vigil, please calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refused to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day. I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Miss Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage in my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That is really all there is to it.
You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
Seek only to put this sweet's rent on your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you've shared with us, Miss Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me soon with good news, sir.
Fear not, madame. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report. I'm quite sure.
So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Thank you. Now, allow me to show you the door.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think at every time, Hurley.
Yeah.
But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two?
Ugh. I feel like Iris's voice is slowly slipping into the screechy territory. Give me a sec. Oh yeah, Squiggles, are you still here, or are you, asleep?
Good news in a day or two. Are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that?
Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts.
Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated.
Wow. My voice is not wanting to cooperate with me tonight. Professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can glean, wouldn't you? Or would you? It is the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen out with this hair. Didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was quite a different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Of course you are. Barclay Prison is on the outskirts of London, backing onto a lonely burial ground. Its 4 high outer walls loomed quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. I like that clock. That's a good clock. Place is full of hardened criminals. Cannot remember the last time a civilian was down here. Oh wait, oh god. What is your accent? I want to talk to an inmate, but to me? You look familiar. You ken who I am? I'm the governor. Harry Caden, hmm? Oh yes, it's a pleasure. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. And an Easterner, I see. I mean... Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? You say Japan? Yes? How many of your kind here, laddie? You should try the prison next door, eh?
I didn't notice another prison next door, sir.
Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I don't like to be so direct, but... I'm intending to speaking with the likes of you suspicious-looking Easterners. Get out of my hair. soon as he finds out that we're from Japan, he reacts like this. That surely means...
I think it's because of the professor case.
Think so too? 10 years ago, Genshin Asogi, also known as the Professor, was incarcerated at this prison. And then, after his execution, he apparently re-emerged from his grave in the cemetery behind the prison. I might have known. You're sniffing around about that case, aren't you? Your agents, eh? Or the Professor's great web, no doubt. No, not at all. We're just... Get gone with you, before I punch your lights out. We're going. Or the ghost of that killer still haunts this place. Not gonna get anywhere here. Unless we can somehow prove to this man that there's nothing suspicious about us.
Governor Kaden.
You thinking, Miss Susato?
I feel that name came up in conversation recently somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned him might have some ideas to help us.
Come to think of it, I have the same feeling. Do you know that I'm a lawyer? Governor Kaden, could I at least show you this? How many times can one man turn his back on you in a single conversation? Said get out. You look so weird in that suit, dude. That's Professor Mikotoba over there. Ah, hello, you two. Just taking a moment to catch up on the world now that I'm unpacked. But where's Judge Jikoku? Yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taken himself off to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs.
Having only just arrived in the country today? Goodness, he's full of energy.
Professor, you mentioned something before about how you'd known the prison governor at Barclay Prison. Oh, Governor Kaden, you mean? So it is the same man.
Father, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us. He said we were suspicious Easterners.
Well, I'm sure if I accompanied you, it would be a very different story. Oh, would you? That would be wonderful if you have the time now. Sadly, as you can see, I'm very busy at the moment. Is he drinking coffee on a comfortable settee? Oh no, I have rather a lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know? Oh, sorry. I didn't say that out loud, did I? No, you did not, Ryunosuke. You Mikotobas are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts. I'm glad that they're calling it out. Because, I mean, Maya does it in the original trilogy as well, where she'll read Phoenix's inner monologue.
Or could it be that you Naruhodos are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts?
It's not Fallout now. I have an idea. What's he writing on that piece of paper? It's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully when he sees my name, he'll change his tune. Ah, thank you. Good luck then. I'm sorry. I love reading the other stuff on the sides in these. Talking about germs down here. Oh wait, I wanted to, can I like...
Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS
Groose. The Groose is loose.
First Class Cabin 001. Yokohama departure 11th of September. London arrival the 1st of November.
Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jikoku came on from Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night, before finally arriving in Dover.
It's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Bureau. Seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary.
I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, how strange. Where could it have gone?
Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo?
I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? Well, that's gonna be important, I guess. Really? Professor Mikotoba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy?
I do wish at least he'd called you a nice young man.
I'm really not sure that would help. You just cast your eyes over this, Governor Caden. Is this them? You cannot pull the wool over my eyes, you good-for-nothing Japanese student. Mikotoba. A young jock from the forensic laboratory. That Mikotoba. Yes, exactly, him.
Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I am Yujin Mikotoba's daughter, Susato.
Jings, the young man's daughter? Didn't think to mention that before.
I do apologize.
Aye, well, you'd best take a seat then. Can I have you a cup of tea, perhaps? Don't forget to try one of these wee handcuff biscuits. Father's influence is nothing short of amazing.
I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset now.
Then what can I do for you, then?
Well, we're currently investigating a case.
It's one of your warders, you see. He's gone missing. Missing?
That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prison governor.
Haven't I heard anything? Haven't I heard anything? Nothing of the sort. No missing persons in my prison.
Oh.
But how can that be? Sorry, that was probably really loud. I just needed to adjust the mic a bit.
It's Mr. Dally Vigil, your chief warder.
Vigil? That's right. His wife came to us and asked us to investigate his disappearance. skip the part about him only going missing yesterday for now. Clearly that means something to him.
Would you be so kind as to tell us what you know, sir?
I of course. Also, can we talk about how massive this rifle is? This has to be like an elephant gun or something. Like, that gun is massive. An axe, a hunting rifle, 4 pairs of handcuffs. It's a daunting collection. There's a story behind every one of those. You mean, rifle was a famous killer's murder weapon? The axe was wielded by an infamous executioner? Handcuffs were once used to immobilize a fierce 4-legged beast when it was arrested.
I think you're in the realms of fantasy now, Mr. Naruhodo.
Not those kinds of stories, Jimmy. The axe was the one I used to chop down the cherry tree at my house. Miss Caden wasn't best pleased. Cups on the left are the ones I caught my first burglar with back when I was a bobby.
The stories were a little different to those you imagined, I think, weren't they?
Yes, to my relief, and in some small way, my disappointment. But what about the gun?
I suppose these are all former governors of Barclay Prison, aren't they?
Either that, or former inmates who the governor has sent to the gallows.
Oh dear. They all have such severe expressions. I really couldn't deny either possibility.
Especially the one on the extreme right. His expression goes beyond severe into a whole new territory. That one's me.
I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Is it a prerequisite of the job, perhaps? Having a severe expression, I mean. Of course it's not. Although, it is taken into consideration. A lot. Bird. Never have expected to find a parrot in a prison. Must be the governor's pet.
Given where we are, it's hard not to see the poor creature as a prisoner.
Mute, didn't kill me. Which new Pokemon? Toucannon? Oh, no, Cramorant. It looks like a Cramorant. Toucannon is on my mind because I went through and sorted all of my Pokemon in Pokemon Bank the other day, and it was a pain in the ass. Has the bird learned to mimic the plaintive cries of the inmates in the cells? No. One of 3 siblings, you see. He still calls out the names of his 2 brothers like that all the time. Right. I hear you, laddie. Want your dinner, eh? Didn't I do it? I hate this guy's, like, I can't read this guy's method of speaking. His grandfather clock is
fitted with a terrifying blade that keeps dropping down.
It's modeled on the guillotine, a French execution device. Might have heard it. Yes, before you ask, it can chop.
Heads off, you mean?
Empress, no. Carrots and parsnips and so forth.
Oh.
Place a large carrot at the bottom of there in the morn. Evening, it'll be cut clean in 2.
Well, the blade must have an almost indescribable edge on it then.
Actually, real quick, I'm gonna hit you with a quick BRB. It shouldn't take me too long. Okay, I'm back. We understand that Mr. Vigil is the chief warder here at the prison. Aye, that he was. Long sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about it. Or about it. Is a fine warder. Sorry, did you say was? Aye. Does not work here no more. He left the job.
Oh my.
When was this exactly? There's a question. When was it about? Can't have been much less than 10 years ago now? Aw.
What?
10 years ago? He stopped working here 10 years ago? Aye, as I minded. No, Ken, haven't I heard the fellow's name in all that time? Or if he's gone missing now. But Miss Vigil made no mention of it.
I think perhaps, Mr. Naruhodo, that his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's unaware that he no longer works here.
Governor Caden, can you tell us what happened? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here? That's important, is it? Yes, I believe it may be.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo?
Can't help wondering, given that it was 10 years ago. Which was exactly when the professor was being held at this prison.
So, Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of chief warder 10 years ago, you're telling us? What happened to make him leave the job?
Actual fact, he didn't leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter. You mean, he was dismissed? It was after a particular walk. Sorry? A walk? Aye. What's our word for it in here? Walk to the gallows. An execution? Job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows tree and oversee any executions, you see. Vigil did something unthinkable on that last walk he was manning.
What did he do?
Sorry, but I cannot reveal that information. I can tell you it's very rare for a chief warder to be relieved of his post. But why wouldn't Miss Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here. Wouldn't I ken anything about that, I'm afraid.
Can you perhaps answer one more question about the circumstances of his dismissal?
That be hen?
That last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for overseeing. Was it by any chance the professor's?
My thoughts exactly. Sorry, I really am. I'm no at liberty to answer that.
I see. My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensic medicine. But you seem to have been well acquainted.
That room, the prison, and the cemetery have a lot to do with one another. After all, they need fresh corpses for forensic research. Ken? Yes, I can imagine.
The advancement of medical science isn't always particularly palatable.
Well, I worked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard. Basement of Saint Sinners. It's still in use today. Saint Sinners. That's come up before, I'm sure.
Yes, that's right. We've been there.
Toba and I have to use to ride in a carriage together and negotiate terms. More fresh material, I suppose? I used to sit in here for hours and gab about dissection and all sorts. It takes me back. A pot of tea and a plate of cuff biscuits, of course.
How charming.
Good fella, your father. Liable, dead set on his work. I'm afraid I'll never understand you, Japanese. Is of Genshin Asogi, I presume. Well, can I tell you anything else? N.A.
Thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Oh, one moment before you're away, then. I have it here somewhere. Ah, found it. Here, take this as a wee souvenir of your visit to the prison.
What is it?
That's Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course.
Oh my, are you sure?
Aye, it's no trouble at all. No, the original, mind. Thank you very much, Governor Caden. Well, in return, do me a favor and never come back here. Case is closed.
Well, I think we ought to return to Baker Street for the time being.
Yes, I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Sholmes with what we found out about Mr. Vigil. What will he tell Miss Vigil, I wonder? We're back.
Hello, Hello, you two. I thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all.
Oh. Scones. Scones sound really... I'm also just hungry. Ah, so that's what the delicious smell is. Greetings, my dear fellows. I now have blue hair and pronouns. I can't even get through the line without cracking up. I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna make that same joke when I saw that he had the red hair, but I was like, it doesn't quite fit, but it fits perfectly now. Greetings, my dear fellows. Have you heard of a game called Fire Emblem Engage? I'm cosplaying as the main character, Alir. It's also like the same shade of blue as well. You've returned a good deal sooner than I was anticipating. Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes?
Say nothing. Your thoughts are written all over your faces. In any case... It turns out that it may have been advisable to test my hair color restoration tonic before application.
Oh my.
Pray tell me, what of our warder friend? Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes. Something very surprising, in fact. Though it's not a patch it's not a patch on your hair, to be honest.
It most certainly isn't. But still,
I assume that this is either Gina or Gregson. So I'm just gonna go with Gregson. Holmes? Nope.
Drop everything, Sholmes. This is more important.
Gina? It's gonna take me a while to get Gina's voice.
I can't Adam and Eve it. What's happened?
Clearly a very grave matter indeed. For Miss Lestrade made no mention of my hair whatsoever.
It's the boss.
What do you mean? Inspector Gregson?
The boss is... He's dead.
Huh? What? What?
They just found his body. Shot with a pistol.
What?
But... Inspector Gregson...
He was murdered?
No, not Gregsy.
Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story. I know, right, Isachi? Are you serious, Gina? Inspector Gregson was really shot?
I don't know much about what happened myself yet. They're still there, investigating the scene.
Where did this take place?
A little rented room in a building full of flats on Fresno Street.
The outskirts of town. Nowhere near his home. He was perhaps investigating a case then.
The thing is, no one at the yard knows nothing about no case around there.
You come in, learn Gregson was shot, and immediately after see Herlock's hair. It was bright red earlier.
Oh, how strange. The boss was... He was so good to me. I know I ain't up to much yet, but... One day I was gonna show him. I was gonna show him I'd become a proper detective. Oh, Ginny.
So who did this? Do they have any idea who the culprit is?
They got him already. Already?
Caught the shooter so soon?
A witness reported something was going on, and the boys got straight down there and took care of him. Who? What awful person did this? I still can't believe it myself. Gina? It was the Reaper.
Wait a minute. You don't mean... They've arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it?
That's right. The Reaper bloke's gone. And he shot the boss.
No. Lord Van Zeeks? Are you quite sure, Miss Lestrade? It's Barrack Van Zeeks the police have arrested. Why did that... I tripped over that line.
I saw him with my own eyes. In the interview room in the yard.
In the yard, not at the yard.
I don't believe it. But there were witnesses. And they're all saying it was him. So you mean there were actually multiple witnesses? They had the gunshot, apparently. And when our lot got to the scene, there was only the boss and that Reaper bloke in the room.
There's no way Lord Van Zeeks would have taken Gregson's life. I just don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
Thank you for informing us, Miss Lestrade. It really is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry.
What are you saying sorry for? You didn't do nothing. Well, anyway, I'm taking a cab over to the scene right now. Please, Colonel, as soon as you can. You gotta help.
It's a detective's lot to appear wherever some sinister plot has unfolded. Little wonder we all look haggard. Sometimes these things are almost too much for the nerves. Mr. Sholmes. What use is there being a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming, hmm? How could I let this happen to Gregson? To Gregson. Mr. Naruhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes, we will too. It would be helpful if you could talk to Mr. Reaper and see what you could glean. I'm sure you are intending to do so anyway. Until later, then. Inspector Gregson, dead. Lord Van Zeeks arrested.
Bruno, Susie, I've called you a handsome. It's waiting outside.
Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Miss Susato?
Yes.
I mean, genuinely, I'm really surprised that they actually, like, I'm surprised that they killed Gregson. Like, that would be like if in the original trilogy of Phoenix Wright games, if randomly during like the second to last case of Justice for All, Gumshoe turned up dead. Like, it's very out of left field. There he is. Lord Van Zeeks behind bars.
And so it's true. He really was arrested.
Sitting with his back to the wall, reading something. I don't think he's noticed us. Yeah. I mean, theoretically, they could get away with killing an investigator in the mainline games, but people also absolutely love the investigators in the mainline games. So, yeah. I don't know how well it would go over. Like, people I mean, Gregson was cool, except for his entire role in the last case of the last game. Lord Van Zeeks. Fancy meeting you here. The last place on Earth I'd like to be. Last person on Earth I'd like to see. Couldn't very well not come. We heard what happened. That you, Inspector Gregson, was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you. But...
Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him, and at the very least, we owe it to him to find out the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please.
There's really nothing I can tell you. Or were you just reading at the back of the cell there? Was it something related to the case? This? The Yard isn't quite so cavalier with its information as to share case details with a suspect. This is a letter from an old acquaintance.
Oh, who might that be?
Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. It's a love letter. Of course, yes. I keep forgetting that they went to the same university. I would like to read my correspondence in peace. So let's get this over with, shall we? What is it you want to know? Strange. I mean, let's face it, Lord Van Zeeks never minces his words. They seem to have less bite than usual somehow. Yes, Naruhodo, they were roommates. You think Van Zeeks and Albert Harebrain ever explored each other's bodies? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. You ever just have the thought, and it's like out of your mouth before you actually like realize what you were thinking? They did it for science. Can you at least tell us your side of the story, Lord Van Zeeks? What happened? You said the same thing in another stream. How much do you already know?
We know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room on Fresno Street.
You were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene and immediately arrested.
We were told that there was nobody else in the room and that some witnesses heard a gunshot.
You're well informed. There's really nothing I can add. The truth is, I don't know what happened myself. We're getting a parallel case to case 4 from the first Ace Attorney, aren't we? But the gunshot. Obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you? Not in the habit of shooting people I work alongside. I also heard the noise, however. Before I had the chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers. So he doesn't actually know what happened. Merry Christmas, yep.
If I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with?
don't need to answer that.
Oh,
After all, you're not representing me.
he's going to need a lawyer, though. Who's going to be representing you in court, Lord Van Zieks? Welcome back, Not. That was what? The Gregson reveal? It caught me off guard. The investigating, Gregson is dead.
Anyone other than you, I should imagine.
Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation as yet?
Defense lawyers shy away from any trial involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know. But this is different. In my career, all of the defendants I've prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now.
Surely not.
I assure you, no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole.
But you didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you?
It's been 10 years now that I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of this killer more than I. However, it seems that things may come to a head before I have the chance to uncover the truth about that.
What does he mean by that?
I just had a potentially very,
Startling realization. We might be going into court against Kazuma, depending on if he shows up again in time for court. Because he seems to be the most likely candidate for the prosecutor to go up against, or to, like, prosecute Van Zieks. Because he was Van Zieks' apprentice. And that's how this series likes to work. After the trial, Professor Hairbrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought.
it's a letter to inform me of his safe arrival at home. I arranged his passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He should now be beyond the reaches of the Reaper.
Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean?
Yes, so it seems. Our stooped little Nipponese friend, for example, who told me he was keeping well in Japan when I inquired the other day.
Yes, that's right. He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo. And so Professor Hairbrain is safely back in Germany now.
He is. So, it appears our conversation has run dry.
There's a 2-second silence, that's all.
Well, in any event, you'll excuse me now. Wouldn't like to detain you.
I was wondering, Lord Van Zieks, if you'd like, I'd be happy to advocate for you.
You trust me, do you?
Yes. I've heard you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just, my feelings can't be used as evidence in a court of law, sadly.
It's a very gracious offer. However, I trust no one.
What?
Not the police, not the judiciary, and not you Nipponese.
But please.
I have no intention of engaging your services. chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. Appreciate it if you don't visit again. Then neither of us will waste any more time. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper. Find out more about Lord Van Zieks and what happened to Inspector Gregson. This really is an out-of-the-way part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. This dust-ridden, rented old room is where it happened, then.
So this is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life.
Yes. The police are already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Mr. Sholmes anywhere, though. Perhaps his investigations have taken him elsewhere.
Boy, what do you think you're doing there? Every one of them drawers ought to be taken right out so you can look underneath and all. I want the space above the ceiling checked, and don't forget to look inside the chimney stack, too.
It's okay, Edgeworth. I'm sure we won't procure your approval later. Yeah.
Blimey. Ain't you lot never gone over an house looking for dough when the owners are out of town?
Gina's obviously got some unique investigative techniques she wants everyone to adopt.
Oh, so you've turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself.
Hello again, Gina.
And Sholmes has only just left. You're lucky you missed that. He went prancing around in here, pointing at stuff and flicking that out of his, and then just scarpered.
Gina's lines are so hard for me to read.
Oh, he's finished investigating already, you mean? Yeah. He didn't stop to say nothing to no one, not even me.
Gina, would you mind if we investigated too?
Listen, Odo. You're a lawyer, right?
Yes, why?
Well, you're not thinking of trying out that Reaper bloke, are ya?
No. Poor Gina. She's never going to forget, is she? Trial will haunt her forever.
Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zieks really is responsible for this crime, he will be duly and fairly judged in court. I suppose you're right, yeah. Go on then, Odo. Get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here.
Thank you, Gina.
This looks like some sort of notice board or something.
It's absolutely covered in scraps of paper.
Mr. Naruhodo, look.
This you mean? It's an autopsy report, isn't it?
And these are case notes here, and details of prison inmates.
Yes, in fact, they're all the sort of documents that only a detective could normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room?
And some of the old newspaper cuttings. Oh, and this one here.
Oh yes, the advertisement, you mean? To the Red-Headed League? But why? What's that doing here?
Whoever occupied this room was clearly interested in it for some reason. Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members.
What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head.
They are! Look, Mr. Naruhodo, quickly!
Why do I feel like this woman is familiar somehow?
Of course she's familiar. We met her only this morning.
Tripping over my lines a lot today. Ah, it's Miss Vigil.
This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Miss Vigil in here?
No, it's not Brett. Don't you know Brett doesn't have eyes underneath her mask? To be frank, I don't think I've ever been more stumped.
I'm sorry to say, I have no idea either.
An empty fireplace makes the room feel even colder than it would be otherwise, doesn't it?
It's thick with dust. Look. I think it would be fair to say it hasn't been used in a very long time.
In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy in cold weather.
Or nobody lived here at all, and merely visited when the occasion arose. I wouldn't like to say which is more likely.
No, that's right. It's one or the other. Excuse me. No, Inspector. Oh, sir. Poor man. Can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he's so upset. Excuse me. Sorry, sir. Can't see a thing, sir. Any tears, sir? Right. Perhaps I'd better leave you to your work, then. This is presumably the murder weapon, then.
Oh my. It is real, I suppose.
I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan, I really know very little about them.
Then there's one way to know for sure, Mr. Naruhodo. Fire a shot.
No, no, no. That's a mile line. If I did that, I'd be looking for a skilled lawyer to represent me in court. Slightly safer just ask someone who might know, I think. I always love when they give me guns in my evidence list. Ever since we came in here, can't take my eyes off this thing.
Oh, funnily enough, neither can I.
It's a hairpiece, isn't it?
It is. A bright red hairpiece.
I suppose the fact that it's right there next to where the body was found means we have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it?
And in such a flame-colored red, too.
Yes, that's a color we've come across very recently elsewhere, isn't it?
Exactly. This is a vital clue, I'm sure of it.
So I suppose this is where the victim...
That's right. The rope was laid around the body to show exactly how it was found. Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away.
Presumably be under Dr. Scythe's scalpel by now, if not for what happened last week.
And from the shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in a ball. Are you feeling all right, Mr. Naruhodo? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
Oh, it's just a rope, but, well, it conjures up quite a terrifying image, that's all. Especially with that blood stain next to it.
Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we picture in our minds can be even worse than reality.
Susato-san is so strong, though. She's taking this far better than I am. Oh, what's this?
It would appear to be a little model policeman. It's rather charming, isn't it, in a way?
Seeing as it's on the floor here, do you think it belonged to Inspector Gregson?
It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Zeek's playing with something like this.
It's only about 8 centimeters tall. Could have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. I think we should record it as evidence, just in case.
Yes, I agree. It's rather delightful, after all, in a way.
Okay, I think I just figured out why this, like, how do I phrase this? Like, this case feels kind of weird, but, like, so far, but, like, weird in a good way, I mean. And I think it's primarily because they killed off, like, a named important character. It feels kind of like those, like, fanfiction cases that you get for the original trilogy where it's shit like, oh, you know, Phoenix winds up dead or some shit like that. It feels kind of like that, you know? Top of one of the candles in the candle holder has been completely blown off.
Yes, there's wax spittered on the wall behind, look.
I suppose if a bullet had hit it.
It does seem likely that the bullet hit the candle, having first passed through the inspector's body.
Now that wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Excuse me. Looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector. Don't worry. We'll look after things at the yard. Interrupted some deep thoughts there. Gotta love an edgy fanfic case. I've had this idea, like, milling around in my brain for the last little bit, where, effectively, there's a decent amount of cases in the first 3 Ace Attorney games that are, I meant to kill this person, but accidentally killed someone else. Namely, like, Turnabout Samurai in the first Ace Attorney game is Jack Hammer trying to kill D. Vasquez, but D. Vasquez pushing him off the stairs and killing him on the fence. I've had this idea bouncing around in my skull for the last little bit of, like, imagine, like, a fanfic case that's, what if this actually went as intended? So, you've got, rather than, you know, oh, D. Vasquez killed Jack Hammer, it's D. Vasquez turns up dead, and Jack Hammer successfully pulls off his scheme that he had in that case to shift blame off onto Will Powers. Like, how would that case play out? And there's a couple of other cases that have been like that, that I'm like, Somebody's very haphazardly nailed those boards over the broken glass, haven't they? Couldn't even really call it a window anymore.
Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsume's room, it was totally blocked up with bricks. And this one does at least still let in some light. And so you could say...
Could say nothing more about it. Starting to feel even more sorry for Mr. Natsume now. But yeah, as much as the, like, whole killing main characters thing is seen as being like, oh, you know, super edgy fanfiction case. Like, one of the other thoughts that I had is, effectively, Turnabout Sisters in the first game, has effectively Phoenix rocks up to the offices late, if I'm not mistaken, in Turnabout Sisters, and that's when he comes across Maya and Mia there. And like, it's like, okay, but what if Phoenix had actually showed up on time? Like, I don't know, I find it really interesting at taking like pre-existing stuff and kind of twisting it to fit differently, if that makes sense. I think it works well here because Gregson was already clearly embroiled in something similar to Mia. Yeah. Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place?
That's what I want to know. It's what, half a year since I got out of the clink? And that's when I decided to give up me diving and became a detective instead.
Oh yes, Mr. Shulms twisted the inspector's arm to agree to take you on as an apprentice, didn't he?
It sounded like that, I think. Anyway, the point is, I didn't really know much about the boss till then.
I think like Gumshoe showing up dead wouldn't work the same. That'd be straight up shock value. Do you think it would be the same with Emma? Because I guess minor spoilers for Apollo Justice, but Emma is the detective in Apollo Justice.
But it turns out he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he managed to solve some really tricky case, just like that.
Did?
Yep, and ever since then he started going out on all sorts of investigations, but always on his own. No one else at the yard even knows what half the cases he's working on are, apparently.
That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? So what was the legendary inspector doing in a dingy little room like this?
I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. And look where it landed him.
Respect for the Reaper? What way?
I heard him say as much. Take my hat off to the fella, were his words.
Not how the general public feels, is it? Most people are terrified of the Reaper.
Yeah, the boss said that's exactly why he respected the bloke.
Didn't realize Gregson held the Reaper in quite such high regard.
He said something else to me and all. That I didn't need to worry about the Reaper, because he only goes after people what are bad. It did kind of set my mind at ease when he said that.
Right. What is this place then? Does anyone live here?
Apparently it's being rented by some cove called Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone.
Sort of here today, gone tomorrow name. That, isn't it?
Yeah, he's what we call an unidentified person. We haven't been able to get in touch with him.
I see. Well, judging from appearances, I'd have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever.
Right? All the lads from the yard piled down to get stuck into the investigation. But there's so little here, no one knows what to do with themselves. I do wonder.
Yes, Miss Susato?
Well, could it be that this Hugh Boone is in fact Inspector Gregson himself?
What? How could that be?
Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that this was in fact some kind of secret office of his.
I'd never even considered that.
Nice work, Suze. We're actually following a line of inquiry like that ourselves.
You are?
If you look around the room, you'll see there's a few things that ain't at it.
We should really investigate this place in detail.
I see that's where the poor inspector was found. Over there. Yeah, that's right. They said it was a single bullet what did him in. Apparently the bullet went right through him and struck that candle tree on the wall.
Yes. It's blown one of the candles apart completely.
And the gun used there is on the floor. It's the Reaper's, isn't it? No denying that.
What? Really?
How do you know that? Take it easy. I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with them big wide eyes.
Stop looking at me with them big old eyes.
I'm only saying what I heard. I don't know much about guns myself. But there's some bigwig lawman or whatever who said so. So why don't you ask him?
Bigwig lawman, is it?
Anyway, Fresno Street runs along under that window there. There were some street sellers just outside who heard the gunshot. Oh, but I don't recall seeing anybody outside. Yeah, they've all been taken down to the yard for questioning, that's why. We're talking about the yard's legendary inspector, after all. They'll be getting a grilling.
Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves?
I doubt it. The lads of the yard just want to know what you're snooping for, and you'll be up for a grilling and all.
So we can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. Time to look at our evidence. Suppose this must have been the murder weapon.
Oh my. It is real, I suppose.
I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan. Why is this the same dialogue? Oh, I guess we need to take this to someone who, actually knows what they're looking at. I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like.
That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you? Actually, no, I think you're already pretty familiar with lying beneath.
I'm not sure that's quite how I'd put it. You must have had to use, you must have to use lots of bird lime to keep it in place on your head. It doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean.
That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think? The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear.
Not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. Head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. In your internet poison brain, you thought Susato called him a bottom? I mean, I made the joke. I made the joke. It was there. Almost as if somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Shall we try twisting it around and around too, for fun? Ah! What's that?
It appears to be some sort of key.
It's tiny though. Couldn't be a key for a door, not at that size. Zoned out and didn't click, it wasn't the real dialogue. No, the part about Naruhodo being familiar with being underneath is that was me. So what is this for, I wonder? This looks like some sort of key.
Yes, it does. A very tiny and simple key.
What's a little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman in the first place? What's it for? I swear, watch this not be a key, but actually be a gun. A very tiny gun. Ah, there's some black marks here, look.
Yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks.
So perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this one candle that's been cracked in half, it seems. Thought it was like him getting Susanoo takedown or him always being on the back foot in court.
Yes, I think you might be right. Firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them.
Gino, what do you make of this?
What is that? Evidence? Look something out of what happened, have ya?
Oh, no, not exactly.
I ain't been long enough in the job to get all this deducting business yet. But I swear I'm gonna get the person what did this to the boss.
OMG, firearm, something ballistic, something fingerprint of the gun, yeah. I'm not confident that we've found everything here. You've made good time. Question marks. Took an express train back to London. Hear Lord Strongheart, can you?
Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone.
Oh. Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train so I could check all the paperwork. It's...
Kazuma-sama.
Ah. Your timing is impeccable. It is? No doubt you've heard the sickening news. About the Reaper's latest devilry. Yes.
I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. That Lord Van Zeeks could have done such a thing to Inspector Gregson.
I believe only in the facts. Facts in this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusal of Lord Van Zeeks for this crime. must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective.
Oh no, surely not.
It is a truly regrettable situation. Tomorrow, the Forensic Science Symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, we can show the world our justice system's swift and equitable process. So does that mean trial is tomorrow? Precisely. In fact, this is a fine opportunity for introductions. Kazuma. But of course, you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Asogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings. Leading the prosecution, I fucking called it. Of course. Oh, no. Wait. What? Kazuma. As I'm sure you're aware, he's a very capable practitioner of law.
Kazuma-sama, a prosecutor?
I'm sure you can imagine that tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no, people all over the Empire will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. There's no salvation for anyone in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey. And now, the Reaper himself must stand in the dock. Quite so. Public want answers about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those who escaped conviction subsequently died mysterious deaths.
But Lord Van Zeeks firmly denies any involvement in such matters.
There have been thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it has been. At least until now. No, tomorrow's trial will mark the start of a new chapter in our country's great judicial history. I'm getting the feeling that Strongheart is throwing Van Zeeks under the bus here. So, Kazuma will be prosecuting tomorrow. That's right.
But he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart.
Accomplished young law practitioners cannot pick and choose their roles. I imagine what it will mean for the prosecution to know the strategies commonly employed by the defense. Devastating combination, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. No doubt at all that Kazuma will be razor sharp as a prosecutor.
But why Kazuma-sama? There were surely other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain.
It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to the trial. You asked for this? But why? It'll all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? Although the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation.
I'm surprised such a personal request would have been upheld. It seems unprecedented. Quite exceptional, in fact.
You are quite right, Miss Mikotoba. Tomorrow's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors, the pride of the Empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as the judiciary closing ranks. So that's why you're happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution. Yonosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed after practicing law in this land for so many months. Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me now. This isn't going to end well, my friend. Oh yes, we noticed that there was a gun at the scene of Inspector Gregson's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zieks? That would be a question for the lead detective investigating the scene. Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask somebody higher up who might know.
That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct.
It's certainly a model that's issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes. Which includes prosecutors, as I'm sure you can imagine.
In that case, it could actually have belonged to the victim.
No, Gregson had his gun on his person. What about Lord Van Zieks? He claims it's currently not in his possession.
What?
According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little suspicious.
But just because the gun in question is the same type as the defendant's is no proof that it's actually his.
No, of course not. Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zieks. Sorry for all the worry I've caused you, but it'll be alright now. Is your memory completely returned? Yes, completely. I remember everything. Including what I was coming here to do. Right.
Kazuma-sama. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia?
It was the voice. This past year, I've been hearing it in my head constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London. That's where your destiny awaits. It was that voice that guided me here to London.
I'm so sorry for what's happened.
Anyway, my memory might have returned to me. There's something that won't return to the way it was before. Huh? What do you mean? I'm a prosecutor now, so I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to glean much more here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down in our Empire's history. There's much you could learn from the public gallery. Sorry to have taken up so much of your time. Well, we'll see ourselves out.
Hold it!
Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you.
Kazuma-sama, what?
You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the ocean in my stead. You carried out my role to perfection.
You always were intent on studying British law in order to change our own justice system. It was your dream, and Mr. Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you.
Yes, but I had another purpose for coming here.
Oh.
I actually have a favor to ask. Which is... this trial I'll be prosecuting tomorrow. I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me, as the defense counsel. Why? What's all this about? I know you have what it takes. I've lost part of the edge. But Lord Van Zeeks would never put his fate in my hands. On the contrary, recognizes your talent. He does? It's not easy to see behind the facade sometimes. Here, have a look at this.
That's Lord Van Zeeks and Inspector Gregson.
In a photograph that must have been taken some time ago by the look of it. Who's the third person? It's displayed very prominently in the detective's office. Gregson's office, you mean? Yes. What I'm trying to say is, if you really think you can trust the Reaper, you might find that some straight talking makes him take to a different view. Take it. I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours of the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? Lord Van Zeeks is still reading that letter.
We've been gone quite some time, though.
Either he's an incredibly slow reader, or it's an incredibly long letter. I might even be able to read English faster than he can. I was intending to ignore you entirely. But I can't turn a deaf ear to such an insulting Nipponese. Oh, sorry. I didn't think you'd hear that. I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time.
Yes, we heard that your trial is set for tomorrow.
Which is none of your business. So, have you found a lawyer? How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This has nothing to do with you. In other words, no.
We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided.
I'd expect nothing less. I have no idea who it is. It's going to be Kazuma Asogi. Asogi? Made the color drain from his face. Well then. Seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again after all. "10 years ago, my older brother, who was the director of prosecutions at the time, was murdered. And the killer, as you know, was a visiting student from Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name Asogi.
Genshin Asogi was Kazuma-sama's father.
So what a cruel twist of fate is this now, 10 years later. Man's son is to crucify me in some kangaroo court. I still don't understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you. It's what he does. No doubt he knew of the young man's true identity from the onset.
But what could he have been hoping to achieve?
Let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Kazuma recovered from his amnesia. Why would Lord Strongheart assign this trial to somebody like that? Sogi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. The bane that is you Nipponese. Right. Hatred of all us Japanese. I'd only just been appointed as a prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother Clint, director of prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer. A so-called professor. Assigned to the investigation as his partner was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard. And that was Genshin Asogi? Hey Van Zeeks, can you stop being racist long enough for us to defend you in court? Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous in the extremes. But none of us saw the true nature of the man. So I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, and any semblance of right prevailing over wrong. Naruhodo, you aren't calling him learned friend enough. Yo, hey Ando, how are you doing? What are you streaming?
Oh, how awful.
To avenge my brother, I prosecuted in Asogi's trial. It wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed, but I beleaguered the ascribed prosecutor until he consented. Ando said to behave, but no. Driving trucks in a dubiously safe manner. Have a good night, Sachi.
What do you mean by the ascribed prosecutor?
The man in charge of the professor case inquiry. Lord Mael Strongheart. Are any of us behaving? Wait, what? Lord Strongheart? He was a highly accomplished prosecutor, but he agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Since that time, he's the one person whom I felt indebted, or to whom I felt indebted.
I'm sure he must have seen your zeal for the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor.
Anyway, time passed. But then earlier this year, who should arrive in London but you? And of all things, as a lawyer. I felt your animosity the first time I ever faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious deep loathing of us Japanese. I kept telling myself it was illogical, But for so many years, that hatred had festered inside me. I could no longer control it. And I can understand why now that I know the history. But in the same way that I've long felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life. To Kazuma Asogi, I am the bane of his. Reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He's looking for revenge, and he intends to take it in court tomorrow. Gregson's transfer to the Paris Police Prefecture had finally been arranged for the coming month. But he'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy. Oh yes, come to think of it, he did mention something about that, didn't he? We flashing back? Okay, good.
I wonder, does it happen often, being transferred internationally, I mean?
It's the first time I've ever encountered it.
Oh.
Paris police welcoming an English detective is almost... I need water. Van Zieks' voice specifically is really hard for me to do. Paris police welcoming an English detective is almost inconceivable. I can't imagine what kind of magic Gregson must have worked to put that arrangement in place. It sounds like that mystery has even the Reaper perplexed.
I'm afraid to say that we're very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We hear that he was considered something of a legend at Scotland Yard.
Again, it was 10 years ago that he made a name for himself. By uncovering a decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, the discovery never would have been made. What sort of approach? Gosh, Van Zieks, your voice is wearing me out. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry about that. After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy.
Oh my, 10 years ago?
Why is that so surprising? Autopsy was considered a desecration of the body at the time, and rarely performed. And my brother was of course a noble, that made the idea of it even more unthinkable. But something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determined it was necessary. His powerful conviction somehow influenced the House of Lords as a result. I could avenge my own, as a result, I could avenge my brother's death. So, you must have had great confidence in the inspector's abilities then.
And it's even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life.
I don't have confidence in anyone.
Oh.
And I'm sure Gregson felt the same way. I have no doubt he thought of me only as the ominous Reaper, just like the rest of London. What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of their relationship? Gay. That's the true nature of their relationship. He's in a gay polycule with Van Zieks and Hairbrain. About the gun used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene. Why is Van Zieks' voice giving me so much trouble? Yes, that's not mine. Really? Because common opinion seems to be that it is. What do you expect me to say to that?
Lord Strongheart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm.
As embarrassing as that is, I'm afraid it's true. When did you lose it then? That I don't know.
Oh,
I was issued with a revolver when I first became a prosecutor 10 years ago. I must have stowed it somewhere, I suppose. Or left it somewhere, perhaps.
you have something in common with Lord Van Zieks after all, Mr. Naruhodo. A talent for misplacing things.
Yeah, it's probably stashed behind his big wine cask collection. No, this has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it. Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese.
Oh dear. The rift is very wide, isn't it?
It's not decisive evidence, clearly, but it doesn't look good, that's for sure. Okay, let's crack your argument wide open, buddy. Lord Van Zieks, we came by this old photograph. Where did you get that? It was taken when I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was long lost. Is the man on the left here? Yes, that's my brother, Clint. It had to be, really. Apparently this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know? Were you aware of that? Respect? That's nonsense. No, we've heard someone attest to it very clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less. Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time things were like that. We're brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice and other such lofty subject matter. That was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you. Feel as though I got a nice glimpse of the past then, too. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes, a brief twinkle. Insight into the true nature of this man known to all as the stone-cold Reaper of the Bailey. Oh? He's actually referring to us by our name? Mr. Naruhodo. Oh! It's the first time he's ever used my actual name. I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't... Come on. I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in. What's that? That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom. A simple determination to know the truth. Lord Van Zieks. Very first time we clashed in the Bailey almost a year ago. I couldn't deny it, even though I dearly wished I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. There are only two other men I've known with that same look in their eyes. My brother Clint, Genshin Asogi. And he idolized, and the man who betrayed his trust in the most hideous way. Is this a love confession? When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me. You mean this photograph? Back then, I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. Weird. My water's got a weird taste in it, after I've drunk through like 3/4 of the bottle. Back then I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. I looked to the future with hope. Like he's someone who doesn't know how to smile. Since then, I've protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. But at times, the mire into which I've sunk makes it almost impossible to breathe. I'm so sorry. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to believe in that look in your eyes. I need to believe it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me? Of course I will. It would be an honor.
I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo.
Then my life is in your hands. Lord Van Zeeks, that must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Which is why I simply cannot let the man down. Tomorrow, in the Old Bailey, against my old friend, Kazuma. It's a very gayish way to put it all. That is very convenient timing of that to be continued. I was half expecting us to have to run all the way back across town again after that. Okay, so that's gonna be it for me for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Fingers crossed that my throat is doing good enough. Oh wait, no. Not tomorrow. Today is Tuesday morning. So most likely not tomorrow. I don't know why, but my water tastes weird. It's got like a weird, like, plasticky rubber taste to it now. I'm gonna take the cap off of this to take a sip. I wonder if I didn't dry the cap properly and I'm getting, like, soap taste. Or maybe I just put too much ice in it, and because the ice is made with like, tap water. Well, not tap water, it's like, what's it called? It's like made with the ice maker in the freezer, so it's hooked up to your water source. And let's just say that the water where I live tastes very bad. But yeah, exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord, exclamation point socials if you want to follow the VODs channel or my Blue Sky. Otherwise, give me just a sec and we'll find someone to raid. Change the fridge filter. It's not even an issue of the fridge filter. Like, I think if it is that, it's because I put like a lot of ice in, because I didn't even put like tap water in my bottle. Critiga's streaming Sekiro. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I most likely will not be streaming tomorrow. If I am streaming tomorrow, it will be randomizer. You know how it works. Otherwise, have a good one and take care.